What's up, Chad? How's it going? 9:22 Monday evening. Do a little jig tie-in. You see what I got in the vise there? It's one I tied up a couple weeks ago live just to try it out. And man, that's all I used this last tournament. Let some guys get on here. Hopefully people will join in tonight. How's everybody's weekend? I had a busy one. That right there is a phenomenal bait. I'll tell you right now. I caught 150 plus fish on it over just Sunday during the tournament. Crazy. And I only tied 3 of them up, test them out. Tonight we're gonna tie a bunch of them up. Worked all weekend, man. No work or all work and no play, buddy. Not a good thing. Just work right now though. That extra money be good. Christmas time. I got a bunch of footage from the tournament. I'm gonna do a video sometime this week. I gotta get it uploaded in my computer. Y'all follow me on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen posts that I put out there. This jig here is a 16th ounce with a number 4 sickle hook. Got these jig heads from Little Miss Bacon. You do have bait keepers on them. I just flatten them out. I'm actually just out of this size of my normal ones, so I've been tying these. When I tell you I caught about 150, I didn't keep track, but I caught so many crappie in the tournament that I was sick of catching them. And I used one of these jigs the whole time, and it held up. It's still on my rod. So I guess that bait keeper doesn't hurt anything. Not a one of them. It did not unravel at all. And that blue shine was, they were coming off the trees 4 and 5 feet to hit this and up out of the mud. There was a couple that were finicky, and I ended up tipping this jig with a minnow, and I caught them as well, but for the most part, everything out there just smashed it. I always use plenty of glue. I think that's why they're so strong. We got a guided trip Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. Out on Conroe. Last time I was out there, you guys saw the video on. I caught quite a few. That blue shine, boy. It really got them excited, I think. Gee whiz, nobody wants to come on tonight, huh? I appreciate you guys being here, Chad. 922, you guys are the only ones commenting. Yeah, boring, I get you. Worked all weekend. Hello. 217 Rebel Outdoors. How you doing, brother? Been a while. Split. But yeah, anyways, pretty decent turnout at the tournament. We had 23 boats. Toledo Bend, Big Lake. I think that was my 4th time fishing that lake. Last year I pre-fished one day, came in dead last, fished a total different part of the lake. This year, did pretty good. I missed my partner. He was homesick, so I fished it solo. And sure could have used him, I know that. I quit fishing about 20 minutes before lines out just because I had to load the boat and get all my fish transferred over into the cooler. So, and I was on good fish. I probably could have with him in the boat. I'm sure I could have got better weight just because I wouldn't have had to deal with the keep checking on them and calling them. I could have been keeping my head down fishing the whole time. But that's how it goes. I did lose one, the very first fish I hooked. I never caught a fish from 7 o'clock, which was lines in, till 8 o'clock. That whole first hour, I never caught a single fish. And I went to an area that I hadn't even pre-fished because all my pre-fishing, I couldn't find anything worth that was going to win the tournament for me. So I took a chance and went to a different area of the lake, and it took me about an hour or so, and then I was in the fish and I was catching them like you would not believe. Very first fish I hooked though was well over 2 pounds, and I had forgotten my net sitting right in the back of my truck. So I went to boat flip it, and the hook ripped right out of his mouth, and he swam away. I'm a little disappointed in myself for that one, but that's what happened. But after that, I had in 15 minutes, I was calling fish already. I caught my 7, and by 8:15, I was calling them. And now I'll explain to you how I found them and what I was looking for and all that here in just a minute. Let me get this jig tied up. Y'all know Toledo Bend is a huge 187,000 acre lake. So to pre-fish it just a couple times, and try and figure them out, it's a chore. So I'll explain how I did what I did. May help you guys find them on your home lakes. This one's a little wild. That's I. JLD Fishing, what's up? Thanks for joining in. Everybody must be busy on this Monday. The normal guys aren't here. The ones that are important are, though. I appreciate y'all stopping in. So, if y'all listen or on Facebook see my post, last weekend, the weekend before the tournament, I took my son up there and we pre-fished on Sunday. And we found a bunch of nice black crappie, 150 to 180 class, and anywhere from 20 to 30 foot of water on timber. So everywhere we went, we were finding that. And I decided when I went back up Friday, the day before the tournament, I wanted to find the white crappie. So I started looking at, where the water would be dirtier and the shallower water, creek channels that run up through some of these coves. And I targeted them. I found them, and I caught. Friday I probably caught, 75 fish. It was insane as well. They're just hungry all weekend, and mostly all whites. But the heaviest one I had was a 150. So I knew they weren't going to cut it for the tournament. So I always had the fallback on what William and I found on the 180 classes. Figured, you get 7 180s and you're going to be right there around 12 pounds, which I figured 13 and a half was going to win the tournament, just from what I was seeing, because I knew some people would get a couple, over 2 pound kickers. So I knew down the south end and the coves and all that wasn't going to be no good. So I decided Saturday or Friday night before the tournament, I was going to go. I looked at the maps on my active captain and decided that I found a nice spot in the main creek channel where the flats were about 10 to 15 feet off to the sides, and it was surrounded by timber. So I said, I'm going there. And it was farther north up in the lake, usually north end part of the lake. holds bigger fish for the most part on most of these Texas lakes. So I went up there blind and didn't even have trails, because I'd never been up in there. Followed the boat lanes, as foggy as all can be up there. So it took a while to get up in there and finally get to my area, and you just can't see 5 feet in front of you anywhere around you. So you're just out there, you're waiting for lines in. You got your navigation lights, and you're hoping nobody comes flying up through there. You're listening for every boat. And so I sat there and I started scanning, and you're allowed to scan before you lines in. You just can't have a line in until 7. And I found some fish, and they weren't all that good. So it took me an hour from lines in to actually get on some decent fish and figure out their pattern up in that area. And that pattern was the main creek channel, about 25 to 30 foot. And I was going up the main creek channel in this stretch where it comes up into the flats about 10 to 15 foot. And I was combing that drop that's on that creek channel for structure. And that's where the fish were hiding. They were sitting right there in about anywhere from 20, some of them right up to 13 foot, right on the top of that edge. And so I caught a bunch of them off there, and 130s, a lot of 130s, 150s, and then I realized I had one shoot up out of the mud, which was a 180. So then I realized that them big ones were sitting below these 130s and 150s in the mud, and you could not see them. So now I'm looking at all this timber, any lay down, little stick up, anything, as long as it's on the edge of that channel where you saw maybe 1 or 2 fish. Now I'm catching one off the top, weighing it up, seeing what it weighs. And then if it's a 130, 150, I'm dropping below all the rest of them that are there because they ain't worth my time. So I drop down in the mud, bang, I catch a 190 on my scale. And I ended up catching a couple 2-pounders, and I think my low fish was a 165 for the day, and ended up to 1280 for 7, which was pretty good. First place was 1379. It was pretty tight. I ended up 7th place, and a lot of fun. Those creek channels, especially this time of year when them fish are doing a little transition and moving, they're the areas you want to look and concentrate and keep at it. Worked all weekend. Hello everyone. 217. It's been a while. That's for sure. JLD Fishing, what's up? Beast Outdoors, how's it going, JJ? Hope all is well your way. It is, sure. It is. That's my story of the tournament. It was a fun time, and we had a good turnout and good payouts. The payouts are pretty strong when you get the boats. Next stop is on Sam Rayburn. Last year I took 3rd in that event. So hopefully the fish are somewhere where I left them up there. And I'll try and get up there a weekend or so before, do a little pre-fishing on that. But I tell you right now, this color right here, this jig, very phenomenal. And I got ahead of myself. Didn't need anything else. That's why I am tying up a bunch of them now. Chartreuse head, silver shiny body, and a chartreuse tail with some blue flash. Y'all give it a try. I was really impressed. You know, and I tried some pinks, I tried some other stuff before I figured out this is exactly what they wanted. They may not want it again. You just never know. That's how it goes. But I'm gonna be prepared. A little more blue in this one. I'll show you guys my jig box here in a minute. One of them, the one that my go-to one, let's put it that way. And Chad, you'll be excited because I got a bunch of your baits in there, buddy. That's not this one. Maybe I'll do a giveaway here next week. Maybe I'll make up a dozen of these or something and we'll do a little giveaway. Get back to going live for y'all and getting some videos out there. I think y'all start seeing quite a bit more footage from our tournament trail. We're working on doing live interviews with the winners, have a little footage of launches and stuff like that of our guys on the trail. Be pretty cool. It's growing. Ain't really nothing special, but boy, that's crappie like it. Sorry about that. Do you tip your jigs with anything when fishing them? Good question, Beast. I didn't have to. Most of the time, I don't. Um, there was a couple fish that were bigger that were kind of finicky. I dropped to them, and typically I could see them on the trees, and I'd drop to them, and I'd have to put it right on their nose, give it a little twitch, just pop it a few times, get their attention, and you'd see them flare, and they turn, so once they turn and they come at it, big key to me catching the fish I do is as soon as they turn and they start coming at it, you do that slow pull away from them. Keep it steady. Don't stop it. Nothing. Just keep pulling it up. Keep pulling it up. And they're going to follow it. And sometimes I'll let them catch up to it, but I don't never stop pulling it up. And you'll notice with live scope, a lot of times if you do stop, you want to give it a little pop or something, and while you're pulling it up, they'll turn right around and go right back to the tree. So I've found over the years that the best method is just a constant, nice, steady pull up. And I had a few of them that wouldn't take it, or they just barely hit it. And then once that happens and they go back to the tree, if they don't get spooked, if you don't, partially hook them or whatever, then you try dropping it on them again and they won't have the interest. So I always do have minnows, especially in tournaments, just in case. So I tip that jig with a minnow, just a small one. I'll drop it back down on that fish and keep messing with them with it, and they'll eventually hit it. So yes, I do tip them occasionally. I mean, when you're out there, especially in tournament fishing, you gotta do whatever it takes. And if it's a big fish and you know it's a big fish, you don't want to spend a lot of time on them if they're not gonna hit. But you try a couple different things on them, and then tipping the tipping that hair tie with a minnow is a really good method. And sometimes the crappie nibbles, if you don't have minnows, they'll work too, just by giving it that little scent, or even just you know the pink color or the silver color, whatever ones you got, just that little bit on that hook, maybe trigger them to bite too. They're a very finicky fish. And but that jig head, they were shooting 4 to 5 feet off the tree when they saw it to just smash it. I mean, I literally caught so many fish. I was sick of catching them. I was ready for the tournament to be over, but I was still trying, to get that big kicker I needed. My big fish was 219. I had two of them over 9 and three of them over 9. Two of them over 2 pounds and three of them just under 2 pounds, and then two of them that were in the 160s. So all good fish, all healthy, strong. Um, it was a lot of fun. That'd be sweet. So let me just less just left Kickapoo. How'd you do? I'm gonna show you guys my jig box that I go to. I have a few of these, but the one I'm trying to get it so you can see the whole thing. All these ones up here, Chad made me some split shot baits. They're phenomenal out here on Conroe. He uses feathers, I use bucktail, so I wanted some with feathers. These are all Chad's as well, as are these. And you've seen me using these in my one video I just put out. And these lower ones here, those are Chad's there. And right down through here, these are the ones I tied up. So I'm going to fill the rest of this up and fill another box. I got all kinds of these boxes kicking around. See, this one right here is empty. I'm going to probably fill this one up with all of them right there. A bunch of those. It was really good. So, but yeah, seems like a lot of people are busy tonight. Normally we're around 15 to 20 of you. I'm gonna just tie a few more jigs and probably gonna go watch some Yellowstone with my wife. It's kind of our routine on Mondays. Did you have any luck, JLD? Are you still on here? I'm sure they're probably up in there. But I'll give a good report on Conroe too. I'm going out there on a guided trip Saturday. Last time bite was really good. I imagine it probably still is. As long as you find them. Right depth. Because they be moving. They'll be getting that transition stage before you know it. And then they're tough to find. Especially out here on Conroe. Something about this blue and that chartreuse together. And that sun when it hits it, boy, it really makes it pop. Chartreuse and silver. Y'all don't have them in your box? I suggest you should put some in your box. Chartreuse and white, chartreuse and black, seems like anything chartreuse is usually killer. And I was using my 12-foot Outlaw mostly all weekend because fish weren't spooky, so I didn't have to cast to them. Could actually get right over top of them, even the ones that were only down 13 foot that I caught. It didn't scare them a bit. And you had to hold it on their nose. Some of them, not all of them, a lot of them shot off, like I was telling you, 4 or 6 feet, but some of them bigger ones, you had to hold it on their nose just to get their attention. Once you got their attention, it was game on. They just whack it. And I just powder coated these jig heads tonight after dinner because I was running low on the chartreuse color. So I powder coat them and then I put them in a toaster oven for about 20 minutes on 350. These bad boys are hard. They don't ever chip off. Just the same old, same old. Awesome, Chad. Yeah, I'm telling you, chartreuse and purple is really good. I used a lot of hulked out from different breed lures over the years, and that's a chartreuse and purple body chartreuse tail. Man, I think I probably have some in one of my boxes. Hand ties, real good. Beast Outdoors, question for you. When fishing shallow lakes, let's say deepest part is 10 foot, you can't find the fish stacked up like we see in deeper waters. Is that normal? Yeah, I'm willing to bet. Like, here's an example. When we fished Crappie Masters National Championship on Grenada, the lake was, they were drawing it down. It was 7 foot low as we were there. And the fish were buried in the mud. All the fish I caught were in, I'm going to say, 5 to 7 foot of water. Even sometimes 3 to 7 foot of water was where I was finding them. Now they were buried in the mud by certain stick ups. Most of them were out roaming. So I would say in a shallow lake like that, they're either going to be, there'll probably be a lot of roamers in there. That's what I'm thinking. Depending on the timber as well, look for in little pockets anywhere, spots where points come out and all that. I mean, if there's no defined creek channel or river channel that runs up through that lake, then I would probably start in the deepest part. Find a little bit of structure in that deepest part of the lake, and then work my way, you know, shallower and shallower. Look for roaming fish. Look for any kind of structure, and definitely try bouncing it off the bottom around that structure, even if you don't see the fish, because chances are they're going to be hiding there, and you're just not going to see them. But yeah, most of them shallow lakes not going to have a real defined river channel, and those river channels are pretty key on a lot of lakes. Them fish use them as highways, and they'll come along something, and they'll travel a ways, and they'll find some timber or something, and they'll hang there for a while, and then they may move. You might have a bunch of fish located for your tournament, the night before. Get out there and bang, they're gone. And then it's back to the drawing book, and now you're tournament day, and you're like, okay, plan B. You always want to have a bunch of different plans. My plan this past tournament was, I'm going new water. I'm taking a chance. It's all or nothing. I just know the northern parts of the lakes tend to hold the bigger fish. There's less traffic up there usually. Maybe that's why. The water's muddier. But less pressure, I think, is a big key. So that's another thing. Check out the northern parts of your lakes. A lot of people fish, a lot of guides and everything. There's more concentration around the south sides of the lakes, by the dams and all that. And you get away from all that, you definitely will start finding bigger fish. I think they don't like all that pressure. But Slab Doc Lamar, what's up, brother? How you doing? Just another night here doing a little hair tying. Let me show you what Lamar, I caught 150 plus fish Saturday on that right there. One jig is all I used all weekend. A couple times I tipped it with a minnow to entice a bigger fish that wouldn't hit just the jig, but for the most part, those fish were just smashing it. They were hungry. So I figured I'd tie a bunch of these up. It was great seeing you up there. Hope to see you at Rayburn, and continuing on. Cool man Tony, running late. What's going on, Big Jeffrey? Same old Tony. You know me. Crappie talk, tying some hand ties. Gonna watch some Yellowstone here shortly. Beast Outdoors. We have the brush there, but you only see just a few around the brush. Not like you see in videos on YouTube, seeing the fish that stacked up. Just wondering if that was normal. Well, it depends on your lake as well, Beast. I mean, do you have a great population of crappie in it? Do you have a lot of big ones, not as many? You know what I mean? Um, I would definitely check. You know, you get on them brush piles and you don't see a ton of them on there. Try getting off to the edges of that brush pile, dropping it right down to the bottoms. You know, or dropping it down in there. Get yourself a brushless jig or something, all the way down into the bottom of that. On that live scope, you're hardly going to see them ones that are in the mud. You might see their backs every now and then. Man, a lot of fish hang out in the bases of those brush piles, or even just a little stick up. You know, just because you're not seeing them doesn't mean they're not there. But I mean, that's what I see. I mean, I'll go along and I'll drop to a stick up, or if I'm in an area that I've been catching fish and I know they're there, you know, just because I don't see a fish there, I'm still gonna. If I'm on my trolling motor and I got live scope down and I'm cruising through a spot and I see a little tiny stump and I don't see a fish exactly on it, but I know that they've been down in the mud, I'm gonna drop that jig down there, bounce it around that stump a few times, and 9 times out of 10, there's gonna be a, you know, if there's one there, he's gonna shoot out and he's gonna slam that, you know, especially when there's not so many together. You fish those singled out 1, 2, 3 fish on a tree here, 4 or 5 fish on a tree there, 1 or 2. You know, those fish will usually eat for the most part. You getting in them big piles of fish, you might catch a couple, but they're not as hungry. For some reason, they're not as aggressive. Not always. Not saying you ain't gonna go in there, and some days you might pull a limit out of a brush pile, but yeah, they ain't showing themselves, and especially this time of year, they are transitioning some. So just look out for them on the move. You know, check for some roaming fish. You know, crappie when they're in open water, for the most part, if you're easing around and you're just scanning, you're gonna see that that ball sitting out there, and he ain't gonna be moving most of the time. Some of them move. I don't even bother with the ones that move, but if I see him sitting out there suspended, just still, then I'm going to ease up to that fish nice and slow without spooking. Maybe get 20 feet from him, 25 feet. I'm going to pitch out past him. I'm going to watch my jig drop down, get right near him, but over, you know, past him, and then I'm going to ease it over top of him nice and slow. And a lot of times they're just going to smash it, but those crappie will just sit out in that open water. You know, I love it. And them open water fish are hungry. You get a jig by them and you see them flare and they turn, they're going to hit it. There you go. There's a good answer for you. Lamar says it right there. Drop some brush on the main lake points, especially in that shallow lake. Find areas that hold shad constantly and drop brush piles there. There you go. Yeah, and that's another key. If you got a few fish on a brush pile and you're not seeing them like crazy, you know, see where your bait fish is. I mean, all the bait fish. I tell you why I did the way I did at the tournament. The shad that I was seeing, you weren't seeing it in the 15, the flats. You had to stay in that channel up north where I was at, where it's 25 to 35 foot deep. All that shad was just balled up in that channel. I mean, it was just crazy. That channel was loaded in the areas I was at. But if you got up over that 20 foot mark in water column, and they weren't there. They wanted that depth for some reason. And those crappie were just sitting there on the edges of that creek, that river channel. They were just ambushing them when they swam by, you know. Shad is definitely a key for getting on them. Where is, let's see. Finance Slab Doc says, great looking jig for sure. May need to buy a dozen from you. Brother, I'll give you some, man. I see you every month. But yeah, it was a phenomenal jig. Toolman Tony, where is James Glover? He been sick. He was feeling a little better today. He told me he was going to come on and check out the live, but I ain't seen him yet either. Let me see. Oh, you're welcome, Beast, man. I'll try to help out anybody, even my competitors. See, like I said, Slab Doc, I'm gonna give you some of these jig heads, and you fish against me every month. So just how we do it. That's how the crappie world should be. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Chad. He said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'm sure y'all that are on here are subscribed, and I appreciate each and every one of you. 922 said, hey, buddy.
Hi. I'm going to bed.
You going to bed?
Mm-hmm.
All right, bud. I love you. But yeah, man, that's good points right there. Take and drop a few brush piles on the main points, like I had said earlier. Check the points that you have in there, and always look for that shad. Find out what depth that shad's in. If you're seeing the majority of them in the deeper water, then I must say most of your crappie are going to be somewhere around there, whether they're hiding in on the bottom or they do a lot of that hiding on the bottom stuff. I'm finding that out more and more. And all my fish that were over 2 pounds come right off the bottom. I never saw them, but I just kept fishing below the smaller ones, so I knew doggone well because that one that I had caught, it kind of gave it up. I was noticing that on Conroe out here the last time I was out there too. A lot of the fish are concentrated on the bases of them brush piles or them little stick ups. You see some there, but there's more there that you don't see. Mess that one up. But I do see a lot of people, I think, miss a lot of bites. This is my opinion on it. And just from my experience over the few years that I've been doing this, a lot of people are probably scaring more fish because they're not pulling it slowly and keeping it steady. A lot of people are doing this popping and jigging it. Sometimes it works, but 9 times out of 10, that's that nice slow pull away from them that gets them triggered. And I'll watch him on that live scope. All right, he's coming. I'll start pulling a certain speed, and if he's still slow and he ain't catching up, I'll slow it down a little and let him catch up to it or her catch up to it. But I'll always be pulling. I mean, I've pulled where my 12-footer is like straight up and down, and that fish is at the surface, and he just won't hit it. But if you stop it while he's chasing it, most of the time he's gonna turn and just take right off. It's crazy, stupid things. But that's what I found. Forever James was you can see it in my old videos. James never was a crappie fisherman and always a saltwater guy fishing for speckled trout. And, kind of like bass fishing. Chunk your bait out there and constantly, you know, giving the action and all that. And it took a long time for James to slow down a little bit. And you look at some of my old videos and you'll see him doing this, using the same bait I am, just constantly jigging it. And he wasn't catching near as many fish as I would. But he's learned a lot in the last couple of years tournament fishing and just going out fishing with me, where he's catching them quite well now because he slowed everything down a lot. And he used a longer rod. That 14-foot rod from Outlaw, he would set the hook so hard that he would rip the bait out of the fish's mouth with a shorter rod, you know, a little stiffer rod. So I got him one of those I got him a 14 Outlaw, and now when he sets the hook like he means it's not so quick to set the hook, and it's helping him hook more fish. So it's come a long ways, that's for sure. Sure could have used them up there on Toledo Bend though. I forgot my belly weights in the truck. I forgot my net in the truck. He's always taking care of the fish. He's fizzing the fish when needed. I'm the one that sits up there and just catches them. And man, without him on there, without him there, it was tough. Like I said, I had to stop. I stopped about 20 minutes early of lines out because I knew I had to load the boat my own, and I didn't want to be late to weighing. That's 20 minutes of me still being able to fish and maybe pulling out another one, 2-pounder or two, because they were there. But I just didn't want to take that chance, and I knew I told myself if I get 12.5 pounds, I'd be pretty content. And I ended up with 1280. So what are you gonna do? Move on to the next one. He made some really good belly weights when we were up at Dale Hollow in Tennessee, and some stupid reason I had him in the truck. So I had to fizz the fish. I had all that time. I had to take care of the fish, make sure they were good, and the time that I was calling. And like I said, I caught so many fish, and there was so many I was just chucking back 150s without weighing because I knew, you know, I didn't want to waste the time. Definitely harder on your own. It can be done, but it's definitely harder. Like I said, maybe I'll tie some of these up before next Monday when I go live again, and we'll do a little drawing. I got a bunch of plastics as well, older plastics that I don't really use or need. I've been kind of just going with these hair ties. They've been working so well this time of year. Maybe I'll give away a bunch of plastics as well. I took them all out of the boat because it was so much weight, and I just hadn't been using them, and I needed some space. I'd like to see maybe some of my subscribers, some of y'all, catching some slabs with them. Get some use out of them instead of them just sitting in a tub in my truck. That blue sparkle, I think, is really what triggered them, y'all. Find areas that hold shit, constantly drop by clouds. Big looking here too. Aaron Little. What's Jeffrey? Not sure on that one there. Hope you get that subscribe. Yeah, sir. Hey, buddy. Split shot base. Need the Carolina rig with a jig. Man, I ain't all about that. I put a 16th ounce or a quarter ounce barrel weight with bobber stops up above, and if I don't feel like doing bobber stops, I'll have the jig on there, and then I'll show you guys sometime. I'll just slide. I'll take my braid and I'll push it together above, slide it through, and then just bring the jig back through and just tie a knot in it. Ain't got all time. Ain't got. Sometimes you ain't got that time for them bobber stops and all that. Let the water do the action in the tail, for sure. Well, guys, I'm gonna probably get off here. We've been on just about an hour, and that's typically about as long as I stay on. If y'all got some questions, I know we was missing a lot of our peeps tonight, so something must be going on. But holiday season and all that coming around. But I'm gonna go spend a little time with the wife before I gotta go to bed, get up and do it all over again. Look forward to stay on the lookout. I will get a video out this week. It will be probably from the tournament, a little bit of pre-fishing before the tournament, and I'll throw little clips of William in there with us when we went up the week before, and then I did some video footage of me out on the water tournament day. I caught a few uh, pretty decent ones, I think. I haven't watched the footage. I know I ran the GoPro for maybe a couple batteries anyway, and then I was like, all right, I got to focus more instead of video, and I knew I had enough catches for y'all to make a good video, and then I did some of the weigh-in and all that, so it should be a pretty good video. I'll get working on it here after probably Wednesday because I bowl on Tuesday nights, and should be some pretty good footage. But y'all have a good week. Be safe out there, and if you go fishing, catch a bunch of them, and try a chartreuse silver with blue on it. Doesn't have to be a hair tie. Just give it a try and see what you think, man. It was working great on Toledo Bend. So appreciate y'all for stopping in. If you aren't subscribed, I'd appreciate you being subscribed, and hit that like button, and we'll see you next Monday. And stay tuned for a video. God bless y'all.